Will you socialize democracy?
Democracy for you and me.
Democracy machine your dollar free. Keep a connect Gambian free.
Gambian, yes, you and me.
Sunny Catamoy Lunyu. Lunyu Wifi. Sunny Catamoy Lunyu. Lunyu Wifi. Sunny Catamoy Lunyu. Lunyu Wifi.
Thank you very much. My name is Ndegen Jobe. I am the Deputy Speaker of the National Youth Parliament. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum to everyone. I am Omar Danso from Activist Study Gambia, National Coordinator.
When it comes to National Assembly elections and youth participation, I would say we are the greatest stakeholder. We form not only 60%, more than 60% of the population of the country, but we also form 57.7% of registered voters in these countries. So we are the greatest stakeholder when it comes to elections in the Gambia. And for me, that should also replicate in the number of seats we occupy in the House. And we all need to vie for these positions in our various constituencies and see we greatly occupy the House in our greatest number, if not 100%.
As Ndegen said, we looking at demography of this country, we are the largest, yet we are discriminated, yet we are excluded in terms of decision-making processes. So that is why we said not too young to run. We don't want young people to be deprived of leadership positions because of their age or gender. That's why we came up with the not too young to run. It's a Pan-African concept that young people are not actually young to run for public offices. And back in 2016, we have proven that. We supported young people to participate in politics. We supported them throughout the electoral process to make sure that young people actually have a seat at the National Assembly, because we believe that that's the place where policies are formulated. That's where the laws are made. So if we don't have young people over there, who is going to craft those legislatures that will actually promote inclusion and also address issues of young people? So that is why we believe that the Not Too Young to Run is a medium of promoting young men and women's political participation and also decision-making processes, to be part of the processes and also to be part of the bodies that we are going to be tasked to formulate those laws.
Young people very much understand the mantra not too young to run. And even over the years, it was not the issue of young people not understanding that they're not too young to run. It was because of the marginalization when it comes to resources, when it comes to opportunities that were presented to them to be able to run for these public offices. And it's good that we came together, we come up with this initiative, and they're making the best use of it. They're coming out, they're coming up to take the opportunity in order to contest for these positions in their constituencies, and finally lobby for support in order to run their campaign smoothly and to see their journey to the National Assembly.
How far are we? One can say we are working tirelessly to make sure that we are able to mobilize resources, as the campaign do not only look at independent candidates, but we want young people to come through the party lines. We want these young people to be selected by the selection committees of their various political parties. But notwithstanding, we want them to come through independent candidates if at all the opportunity is not created for them. So having that been said, the other thing is, how do we mobilize resources, and to what extent should we go in terms of supporting them with resources is another thing. We just had our engagement not long ago. We want to meet political parties. Some of those things do not actually need the much resources in terms of expenditure. It's just a matter of drafting letter and calling for a courtesy call where you have a conversation with the political parties for the space to be created for these young people to participate who are aspiring to contest. But in addition, we want to raise funds to make sure that we are able to train these young people so that they will be ready for the task ahead. That is when they are elected at the National Assembly. But in addition, we also want to engage other stakeholders like community members, like the selection committees in various regions. We believe that through all these things, we will be able to with minimal resources, we will be able to convince them to be able to give the space to young people to contest. I think the bulk of the challenge is going to be in terms of the training, one, but secondly, also in terms of resources needed for their campaign. That's where we are still working on to make sure that we are able to get the required funds so that we'll be able to support their campaign process. Not actually, because to some extent, some time back in 2017, we were able to print t-shirts for them. We are able to print banners for them, posters and so on, aside from their training. But this time around, we want to go beyond that, even if possible, especially for independent candidates, so that we'll be able to provide them with the necessary logistics to transport their campaign and so on. But these are all things that we are working on. As the Not Too Young to Run, Activista is not the only organization. We have series of organizations, but the consortium is just led by Activista. You have Peace Ambassadors, Think Young Women, NYP, you name them. So these are all organizations that are putting up their resources together, looking for funding so that we'll be able to support the advocacy so that the young people will be given the space.
What I will be saying to young people is the laws and policies that are going to be formulated at the National Assembly are going to, in a great way, affect us as chunk of the population. That means if we want this country, anything in this country to serve our best interests, we need to be there, where policies are formulated, where laws are made, so that they will suit our best interests. The older generation might know and might understand us, but they will not understand us as much as we understand ourselves. So it is important we be there on the drawing board, on the table where things are formulated and made, so that we make the right decisions for us, but also generations yet to come. So let's go out to our constituencies. Let's go back to our constituencies. Let's convince our political parties to select us. But also for those who opt to go on the independent ticket, let us be courageous enough to be in this contest, so that at the end of the day, let's say 80% of all candidates are young people. At the end of the day, my party might not win, but the person who win will be a young person. And it will be a win for all of us. That's why we encourage young people to come out in their numbers. If we have 80–90% of contestants as young people, at the end of the day, some might lose, yes, but the ones that win will be a win for all of us.
Yeah, as we said, the issue of the not too young to run, the concept itself is to promote young people's participation. It's not about voting alone, but it's about taking the leadership role. So anyone who is a young person and the person is committed and have the conviction that you can be part of the National Assembly and make a difference, why not go for it? So for voters, let's not judge people based on their age. Let's give them the platform. Let's give them the space as long as they are able to exercise what is expected of them. But to those who are going to be elected in April, let them understand that the country is bigger than the party. So any policy that they are formulating, any decision that they are making on behalf of the country should solely depend on the interests of this country and not be based on partisan lines and so on. So this is a message that I believe every young person needs to think about. One is, why am I voting? Who am I voting for? Why does that individual actually deserve my vote? So these questions, we need to answer them, and these questions can be the only way out. Together, we'll be able to promote young people's participation, and we'll be able to have the inclusive governance that we all desire.
Belongs to ties to democracy.